With the introduction of the NASCAR Gen 7 car, or Next Gen cars it's also referred, no longer were teams allowed to paint their bodies. From now on, they all had to be wrapped in vinyl. Along with these new regulations came some of the most complex and elaborate schemes NASCAR modelers have ever had to duplicate. For this decal how-to, we'll be using the Salvino's JR 2023 Martin Truex Jr. Bass Pro Shop Toyota. We'll go from this bare plastic body to this. Let's get started. Before we can jump into the decals, we need to do a few body preparations first. I like to remove the molded in antennas, as well as sand off the hood pins on the trunk and the hood. I'll also take care of any mold lines that are present. Removing these hood pins will make things much easier once we get to the big hood decal. I'll clip these antennae off, and then a sanding stick and a foam sanding pad will take care of the rest. I picked these sanding pads up off of eBay. They come in several different grits and work great for doing model prep work like this. Once I'm happy with the roof, I'll take the sanding pad and go over the entire body, removing any mold lines and any sharp edges. This will give us a nice even finish to the body and allow the primer to adhere better. I'll give the hood a quick pass with a sanding pad as well, and then both the hood and the body can be washed in some warm soapy water in preparation for the primer. Once the semi-gloss black is dried, you can see we're left with a nice smooth satin finish, perfect for applying decals. Since the graphics on this scheme are so complex, it's going to be important to find a proper sequence in which to apply them. I'm going to begin with the roof first. Most modelers have their favorite way to apply decals, whether it's by using Q-tips or paper towels. My preferred method is to use microset and microsol and a soft brush. I feel this gives me a bit of a softer touch and a little more control when I'm trying to work the wrinkles out of a decal. Before putting the decal on, I'll add a little bit of water and microset to the roof. Then it can simply be slid into place. I like to use a bit of a heat source to help the decals conform as I apply them. Some modelers will use a hairdryer, but I have an old style incandescent bulb and a desk lamp hair off frame. It puts out just the right amount of heat to help the decals conform. A hairdryer will work fine, I just find them noisy, and the desk lamp's much easier to use. Once I'm happy with the decal's location, I'll begin pushing from the center out, removing the excess water and air. You'll notice I'm always pushing from the center towards the outer edges. Once I know the decal isn't going to move on me, I'll begin adding some of the microset with the brush. I slowly brush it over the entire decal and start to gently work out some of the wrinkles. You can see by the size of the wrinkles at the front edge of the roof, once the decal starts to soften, those wrinkles get smaller. I just slowly continue to work those wrinkles out, using microset and the heat from my lamp. A little more heat and a little more microset, and you can see the decal is starting to get close. I'll slowly work it into all the cracks from the roof flaps as well. All the wrinkles along the front edge of the roof are just about gone now, and I can move to the back part of the decal. A couple quick slices with the hobby knife and a little bit more microset, and I'll begin to work the decal around the rear camera. As I mentioned before, this decal sequence on this car is going to be very important. I'm going to start off with the roof obviously, then I'm going to move to all the camouflage areas on the car. I'm basically going to break it into phases. Once all the camouflage decals are on, then we'll get into all the neon decals, and then finally all the sponsors and the headlights and taillight graphics. I'm going to begin the camouflage decals with the trunk first. Essentially, I'm going to start at the back and work my way forward. The camouflage decals will all need to be in place before we can move on to the next phase. Like the roof, the deck decal is slid into place, and then I begin brushing out the excess water and air. Again, I'm just bouncing between microset, the heat from my lamp, and the soft brush. I try to keep the brush damp with either water or microset the whole time. If it gets too dry, it will start to stick to the decal. Once the decal on the deck was fully dry, I used a sharp blade and my hobby knife to slowly slice along the edges. Then I will brush some microset down into the grooves to help it fully conform. Next I move to the camouflage decals on the rear TV panel, starting with the top one, followed by the rear bumper, and then finally the center. A little bit of warm water on my fingertip will help the edge of the decal bend over the bumper. Next up, I'll move on to the tops of the rear fenders. Since both of these pieces are fairly small, I'll do them at the same time. The rear quarter panels are finished, and now we can move on to the sides. Although these are the largest decals, they're actually one of the easier ones to apply since the doors are so flat. There are also lots of spots on the decal where it hits certain parts of the body to help get it in the correct position. Like the other decals, we'll start from the center and begin pushing out the excess water and air. At this point, the edge of the decal is so soft I can again use my fingertip with a little bit of warm water to help bend it over the edge. One final brush with some microset along the bottom of the rockers here, and the doors are just about finished. The last three camo decals we need to apply are the tops of the front fenders and the center grille. To make sure I get these aligned properly, I will apply them both at the same time. Next up is time to tackle the large hood decal. This will be the most difficult one we have to apply due to the molded in vents in the hood. This one is going to require some extra patience due to its size and the hood vents. Like the roof we did previously, I'm working from the center out, pushing out all the excess water and air, slowly working these wrinkles out of the front edge of the hood. I give it a brushing of microset and then put it back under the heat. As the decal starts to soften, I'm slowly working it into the vents. I try to work as patient and delicately as I can. If you get the decal too soft, it's easy to melt it or tear it. I keep the brush moist with either water or microset and slowly keep working out any wrinkles or bubbles. At this point, the roof is done and all the camouflage decals have been applied. After letting the decals dry for a day, the body and hood were then given a bath in some warm soapy water. Next, we'll move on to what I would call the second phase of this decal project, applying all the neon decals to the roof sides and along the tops of the front fenders. Let's go! We'll do the sides of the roof first. With the roof sides finished, now we can move on to the front fender tops, using the sides of the roof and the front grille as locating marks. When I applied the camouflage decals, I only used micro set. The neon decals, however, seem to respond better to the microsol to help soften them up. Just use the microsol sparingly because it can and will melt the decals if you're not careful. Getting the neon decals on there really starts to bring this scheme to life. I just love the contrast of the bright neon decals against the black and silver camouflage pattern. Next we'll move to the final stage, and that is applying all the sponsor decals and all the Toyota specific headlights and grille decals. We'll also get the Toyota rear bumper decal applied. One of the reasons I picked this kit for this tutorial is I really like the shape of the Toyota Next Gen body. The headlights and front grills look so aggressive on there. And here's the completed body. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you have any other questions or comments, please leave them below. Thanks for watching.